Hola Sunflowers, welcome back. If you're a new viewer, thank you so much for joining. This past weekend, my husband and I got to celebrate our 2-year anniversary, and our first stop was lunch at Fioli Mansion and Gardens, and it was just so beautiful. After lunch, we walked a massive garden, and there was just acres and acres on this mansion of just pure beauty. So we were very grateful to have such a good experience at this mansion. I absolutely loved the architecture in this mansion. It was just mind-blowing how detailed it was, and I really enjoyed looking at all of the little details on all of the interior design and just the structure itself. It was really cool. Happy May. It is the month of mothers as well as women. It is also Mental Health Awareness Month. So this month I will be focusing on the ladies and things that we sometimes tend to struggle with when it comes to our mental health. I would like to discuss the topic of anxiety. When I was 17, I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder, or what's known as generalized anxiety disorder, and I also struggled with something called agoraphobia, which caused me to have panic attacks on a very regular basis. I think I was having panic attacks for 3 months straight every 5 minutes, and it was really affecting my life, my executive function. I was afraid to do the most simple things such as eat or shower or sleep. I was really struggling with something that I was not familiar with, and nobody in my family was familiar with it. Or if they had been experiencing anxiety, they would have not known what to call it. I saw many specialists. I had my heart checked. I went to neurologists. And it actually took a UMC quick care doctor to explain to my family and I that I was struggling with anxiety disorder. So they decided to put me on some very strong medications that I had to take regularly, and it was just too much medication for a 17-year-old's body, and I was just a walking zombie at that point. While it did allow me to be able to function a little bit better without the panic attacks, I was still struggling severely with this disorder. It wasn't until a really good friend of mine from high school told me about a herbal company that her father was running and selling products for, that he had a remedy or an herbal remedy for anxiety, which consisted of some herbs from the Amazon rainforest. One of them that I know for sure was ashwagandha. But there was a detox tea and some capsules that I had to take, and literally within a month, my chemical imbalance was pretty much back to normal. I was able to do things that I was doing prior without any issues. So it really was a godsend, because without that, I probably would have been struggling for much longer than I did. Unfortunately, the downside to experiencing anxiety disorder at the time that I did was that not too many people were familiar with it. And of course, as humans, the things that we are unaware of or that we deem to be out of the ordinary tend to cause social bias. So unfortunately, I was struggling with bullies and people were making fun of me at school. I was passing out at school and people would laugh and make fun of me and tell me that I was doing it for attention. There was a point when I would have to take my medication with my lunch, and there were people that would shun me for taking my medication at the lunch table. There was just a lot of unfortunate incidents that made the anxiety worse for me because it was just causing a lot of insecurity. And unfortunately, not everybody in this world is nice. So, rather than being helpful and understanding, I had to deal with people making jabs and, not so nice comments about me and talking about me behind my back. So it was really just not a pleasant experience, obviously, but I was able to overcome it, and I'm grateful that I was able to figure out what it was that I was struggling with. Later, some years from the time that I went through my anxiety panic disorder, I would have friends who were around me at that time who would later tell me that they experienced anxiety or their children experienced it, and that they didn't understand it when I was going through it, but then they saw what it was that I was going through when they experienced it themselves. And that's one thing about anxiety disorder, is that until you experience it yourself, it's really hard to understand it when someone else is going through it. As women, we are considered emotional creatures. We have a higher emotional reaction due to the estrogen in our bodies, and we tend to struggle more with anxiety or anxiety disorders. It's harder for us to sometimes overcome these things because as women, we have very full plates. We have a lot of expectations of how we should be, how should we act, what should we do. And, we're expected to be the wife, the mother, the partner, the caregiver, the nurturer, the house cleaner. We're expected to do it all. And some of us have to do all of that and work full time. So anxiety is very prevalent in women, and it's understandable. So what is anxiety disorder? Anxiety disorders are a group of mental health conditions that cause fear, dread, and other symptoms that are out of proportion to the situation. There are several types, including generalized anxiety disorder, specific phobias, and social anxiety disorder. This comes from the Cleveland Clinic. Here are some ways that you can combat anxiety. Number 1, seek help from a professional, such as a psychologist or a psychiatrist. 2, find herbal remedies such as ashwagandha. There's also a lavender and chamomile essential oils that you can put in a diffuser, or even lavender chamomile tea can help to calm the nervous system. Number 3, learn breathing techniques. Some breathing techniques that I have learned are to take a deep breath and count to 7, inhaling and then releasing while counting to 7. Number 4, find a quiet place to engage in prayer or meditation. Having quiet time and seeking internal calm can help you in combating anxiety. Number 5, seek help from a trusted friend. If there's someone that you can call whenever you're feeling anxious that can talk to you over the phone, or maybe even come and visit you when you are very nervous and struggling with your anxiety, it is very helpful to have support. Number 6, chew a piece of gum or something with a bold flavor. Having that in your mouth can help distract the brain from the overthinking and the worrying that anxiety creates. Number 7, find 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can smell, 2 things you can hear, and 1 thing you can taste. I just want to encourage you that having anxiety is nothing to be ashamed of. It is more common than you think, and there are plenty of ways to help combat this mental health disorder. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and remember to stay healthy and hydrated, my friends.